Every single time you hear that sound, your brain releases a chemical identical to what a gambler feels pulling a slot machine lever. 2,617 times. That's how often the average person touches their phone each day. But here's what nobody's telling you. Each touch isn't just a habit, it's a transaction. And you're not the customer, you're the product being modified. Tonight, we're going to expose something the tech industry has spent billions hiding. How the world's smartest behavioral engineers have turned your attention into currency, your anxiety into engagement metrics, and your human need for connection into a weaponized addiction loop. What you call checking your messages, your brain calls survival. And I'm going to prove it to you. My name is Briggs, and for the past 3 years, I've been investigating what might be the largest uncontrolled psychological experiment in human history. 5 billion people carrying devices designed by a handful of companies, all competing for one finite resource: your attention. Look at this graph. The blue line shows smartphone adoption. The red line, anxiety disorders in developed nations. When smartphones crossed 50% market penetration in 2012, something fundamental shifted in the human experience. This isn't correlation, this is architecture. See, what Silicon Valley discovered wasn't how to connect people. They discovered how to hack the oldest parts of your brain. The same neural pathways that kept your ancestors alive on the savannah. The parts that scan for threats, seek rewards, and desperately fear being left out of the tribe. They took evolutionary psychology and weaponized it. And tonight, you're going to learn exactly how they did it. Let's start with dopamine. You've probably heard it called the pleasure chemical, but that's completely wrong. Dopamine isn't about pleasure. It's about anticipation. It's about the possibility of reward. Dr. Wolfram Schultz's experiments in the 1990s revealed something shocking. When monkeys received unexpected juice rewards, their dopamine neurons fired. But here's the twist. Once the monkeys learned to predict the reward, dopamine shifted. It no longer fired when they got the juice. It fired at the signal that juice was coming. The anticipation became more neurologically powerful than the reward itself. Now watch what happens when we apply this to your phone. Every notification is engineered to be unpredictable. Sometimes it's important, a message from someone you love. Sometimes it's nothing, a promotional email. This variability is called an intermittent variable reward schedule, and it's the most powerful mechanism for creating addiction known to behavioral psychology. It's the exact same mechanism that makes gambling addictive. B.F. Skinner discovered this in the 1950s. Rats pressing levers for food pellets would press occasionally if rewards were consistent, but make the rewards random. The rats would press the lever compulsively, obsessively, even when they weren't hungry. You are not pressing a lever. You're pulling to refresh. Lauren Brichter, the engineer who invented pull to refresh, later admitted, "Pull to refresh is addictive. I regret the downsides." He took it off his own phone. Think about that. The creator of one of the most ubiquitous gestures in human history doesn't use it himself. Dr. Peter Wybrow, director of neuroscience at UCLA, calls screens electronic cocaine. The brain scans are nearly identical. The same regions light up. The same pathways activate. The same tolerance builds. You need more stimulation to feel the same baseline normal. What satisfied you 5 years ago, a book, a conversation, a sunset, now feels insufficient. Boring. Your dopamine receptors have been downregulated. Neuroscientists call this dopamine deficit state. You're not imagining that life feels grayer. It literally is, neurochemically speaking. The thought process that went into building these applications was all about how do we consume as much of your time and conscious attention as possible. That's not a critic. That's Sean Parker, founding president of Facebook.
Dopamine-driven feedback loops that we have created are destroying how society works.
Chamath Palihapitiya, former VP of user growth at Facebook, went further. The short-term, dopamine-driven feedback loops that we have created are destroying how society works. These aren't conspiracies. These are confessions. In 2017, internal documents leaked from multiple tech companies revealed something called brain hacking conferences. Private meetings where tech companies hired neuroscientists, behavioral economists, and casino consultants to maximize what they call time on device. Nir Eyal wrote the industry Bible, literally called Hooked: How to Build Habit-Forming Products. The four-step process is taught at every major tech company. 1. Trigger, external or internal cue. 2. Action, simplest possible behavior. 3. Variable reward, unpredictable payoff. 4. Investment, user puts something in, increasing likelihood of return. Take Instagram. The trigger, boredom, loneliness, FOMO. The action, a simple thumb swipe. The variable reward, maybe a beautiful photo, maybe nothing special. You never know. The investment, your posted photos, your followers, your digital identity. You're not scrolling through Instagram. Instagram is scrolling through you.
My phone is a slot machine. Every time I check my phone, I'm playing the slot machine to see what am I going to get.
Tristan Harris, former Google design ethicist, revealed that apps compete in what he calls an attention extraction economy. Your phone isn't neutral. It's a battleground where billions of dollars are spent fighting for real estate in your mind. Red notification badges, tested across millions of users. The specific shade of red triggers your amygdala, your brain's alarm system. Autoplay videos removes the friction of choice, keeping you watching. Read receipts creates social obligation loops. Typing indicators keeps you staring at the screen, waiting. Stories that disappear triggers loss aversion and FOMO simultaneously. And then there's infinite scroll. Ozza Raskin, who invented it, now says, it's as if they're taking behavioral cocaine and just sprinkling it all over your interface. And that's the thing that keeps you coming back and back and back. He estimates his invention wastes 200,000 human lifetimes per day. Every day. Let me tell you about Jake, 34 years old, marketing manager, married, 2 kids, by every measure, successful. But Jake couldn't shake a feeling that he describes as living life at 60% resolution. He was physically present but mentally scattered, could barely read a book anymore, watched his kids play while scrolling Twitter, felt anxious when his phone was in another room. Jake agreed to an experiment, 30 days without social media, complete digital detox. We monitored his neurological and psychological markers throughout. Day 1 to 3. It's fine. Kind of liberating, actually. Day 4. Keep reaching for my phone even though the apps aren't there. Day 7. Genuine anxiety. Heart racing. Can't focus. What Jake experienced wasn't psychological, it was physiological withdrawal. Dr. Larry Rosen's research shows that 70% of people experience genuine withdrawal symptoms when separated from their phones. Increased cortisol, elevated heart rate, the same biological signatures as substance withdrawal. But here's where it gets interesting. Day 14. Finished a book for the first time in 2 years. Day 21. Had a 2-hour conversation with my wife. No distractions, felt like when we first met. Day 30. Colors seem brighter. I know that sounds insane. It's not insane. It's neuroplasticity. Jake's brain was literally rewiring. His dopamine receptors were upregulating. His prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for focus, planning, and emotional regulation, was strengthening. Microsoft's research found that the average human attention span dropped from 12 seconds in 2000 to 8 seconds in 2021. Goldfish, 9 seconds. But this isn't evolution. It's adaptation to an environment we created. Dr. Dmitry Christakis' research at Seattle Children's Hospital found that for every hour of screen time in children under 3, there's a 9% increase in attention problems by age 7. The developing brain is particularly vulnerable to these dopamine disruption patterns. Brain imaging studies from China showed that internet addiction physically shrinks gray matter in the prefrontal cortex, anterior cingulate cortex, and supplementary motor area, the same regions damaged in substance addiction. You're not losing focus because you're weak. You're losing focus because your brain is being systematically reorganized. But here's the hope hidden in the neuroscience. Your brain's plasticity works both ways. The same mechanism that created the problem can solve it. I'm going to give you a protocol, not theory, not philosophy. Neuroscience-backed practices that begin reversing the damage within days. First, your phone sleeps outside your bedroom. No exceptions. Buy a $10 alarm clock. This single change affects your first and last neurological states of each day. Morning cortisol awakening response. That's your body's natural alarm system. Gets disrupted by immediate screen exposure. You're starting every day in a stress state without realizing it. First 60 minutes of your day. No screens, coffee, shower, journal, walk, anything but digital input. Your prefrontal cortex is most plastic in the morning. You're literally setting your brain's operating system for the day. Turn off every notification except direct messages from humans, not groups. Calendar reminders, true emergencies. Everything else is someone else's agenda for your attention. Choose 1 hour daily, same time, complete digital absence, not airplane mode, phone, in another room entirely. This isn't about productivity. It's about remembering what your own thoughts sound like. During rest, your brain activates something called the default mode network. This is where memory consolidation happens, where creativity emerges, where you process emotions and make sense of your life. The DMN requires sustained absence of stimulation. Even checking your phone once disrupts it for 23 minutes. Now we rebuild your relationship with technology, from unconscious reaction to conscious choice. Batch processing. Check messages 3 times daily. Morning, afternoon, evening. Everything else waits. Time boxing. Use app timers, not as restriction, but as awareness. You'd be shocked how just 5 minutes becomes 50. Intention ritual. Before picking up your phone, state out loud why. I'm checking the weather. I'm responding to mom's text. Sounds ridiculous, works immediately. Every generation thinks the world is ending because of new technology. Socrates feared writing would destroy memory. Parents worried radio would ruin children's imagination. Television was supposed to end reading. So why is this different? Because for the first time in history, the technology is designed to modify behavior at scale. TV was passive. The internet was exploratory. But smartphones are participatory manipulation engines. The algorithms know you better than you know yourself. They can predict your behavior, your desires, your weak moments. They know when you're lonely, tired, bored. and they exploit those moments with surgical precision. We're seeing the results at civilizational scale: political polarization, algorithms reward outrage, mental health crisis, constant comparison and validation seeking, erosion of deep thinking. Why contemplate when you can scroll? Steve Jobs didn't let his kids use iPads. Bill Gates banned smartphones until age 14. Evan Williams, Twitter's founder, gives his kids physical books instead of iPads. They know something we're only beginning to understand. Your brain evolved over 300,000 years to handle maybe 150 social relationships, to focus on one task at a time, to rest between threats. Now, you're exposed to more information in a day than your ancestors saw in a lifetime, more social comparison in an hour than they experienced in a year. This isn't adaptation, it's overload. But here's what gives me hope. Consciousness is stronger than code. Awareness breaks the spell. The moment you understand that your urge to check your phone isn't your thought, it's a planted craving, designed by someone in Silicon Valley to generate ad revenue, you begin to reclaim sovereignty over your own mind. This isn't about becoming a digital hermit. It's about intentional engagement, using technology rather than being used by it. Jake, 6 months later, he still uses his smartphone, but differently. He describes it like this. It's like I was living underwater and didn't know it. Everything was muffled, distorted, heavy. Now I've surfaced. I can breathe. Across the world, a quiet revolution is starting. Digital wellness communities, phone-free restaurants, screen-free schools, tech Sabbaths. People are remembering what we almost lost, the texture of unmediated reality. Your attention is your most precious resource, more valuable than money, than time, than any possession, because your attention is your life. Where you place it determines who you become, what you experience, how you love, what you create. And right now, billions of dollars are being spent to steal it from you. So I'll leave you with a question. When you're 80 years old, looking back at your life, will you wish you'd spent more time scrolling? Or will you wish you'd been more present for the moments that mattered? The choice is still yours, but only if you make it consciously, starting now. The addiction is real. The damage is measurable. The recovery is possible. Your attention is your rebellion. If you've made it this far, you're already different from when we started. Awareness is the first step in neuroplastic change. Your brain is already beginning to reconsider its patterns. In the description below, I've linked to the 30-day protocol PDF, Dr. Larry Rosen's withdrawal studies, Tristan Harris's congressional testimony, the grayscale activation guides for every phone type, a private community of 50,000 people doing this work. Next week, we're exploring something even more troubling: how your smartphone is affecting your sleep architecture and why you're waking up tired no matter how long you rest. But for now, try this. Put your phone in another room, just for the next hour. Notice what happens. The discomfort, the urge, the phantom vibrations. That's not anxiety. That's freedom trying to remember what it feels like.